As things now stand, it seems like President Macron is going to be comfortably re-elected on Sunday. All the most recent opinion polls suggest he has a lead of something around 55 to 45, 56 to 44%. Something very unusual to have to happen between now and Sunday for him to be defeated. But there are some elements of uncertainty. Some 10% or slightly more voters are still undecided. If they were to break decisively in favor of Marine Le Pen, the result could be much closer than the polls indicate. And there is perhaps the danger also of complacency among Macron voters. They might decide that the race is over already and then stay home on Sunday rather than to go out and vote. But in the last 2 weeks, President Macron has certainly mounted a very, very effective campaign because on the eve of the first round, polls for the second round suggested that the result could be as close as 51-49. At that point, all the momentum was certainly on the side of Marine Le Pen. Macron, during the last 2 weeks, seems to have turned this trend around.
It looks like if he is re-elected, as the polls seem to indicate, the tough job could actually start on Monday morning because there's a very divided country. A lot of people, as you say, just want to abstain, might not go to vote. A big chunk of the electorate is looking at some anti-party, anti-system parties. I mean, it's going to be tough to govern France for whoever is elected in any case.
That's for sure. France is divided between three big political blocs, if you like, the centre or slightly centre-right with Macron and a radical left and a radical right, both of which are very strong. Much will depend upon the outcome, of course, of the parliamentary elections, which will take place in June in 2 rounds. Since the electoral timetable in France was changed so that the parliamentary elections now take place very soon after the presidential elections, typically the president can win a majority in the parliament for his program. He has a kind of honeymoon period, if you like, after the presidential elections. It's not certain that this time round Macron will benefit from the same honeymoon effect as last time because he's been in office 5 years. It's not as though he's so popular in France. In the first round he got 28% of the vote, but well over 2/3 of French people don't really like him that much. And whether he'll get a majority is uncertain. He may have to cohabit with a prime minister who's not of the same political persuasion that he is. And this could make for a period of turbulence in French politics or volatility even beyond what is normal for France.
And it looks like his challenge right now to get re-elected is convince some of those far-left voters, the ones that went for Jean-Luc Mélenchon, that voted for him to some extent in 2017, want to vote for him this time around. So how can he convince these voters on the platform and then try to also have vote the centre-right voters? They're already, to a certain extent, with him. It seems a really difficult task to try to please all these kind of voters.
Yes, I mean, obviously in the last few days he's been trying to appeal to the Mélenchon supporters, especially on issues such as the environment, and he's been campaigning in areas where Mélenchon did very well, in Saint-Denis on the outskirts of Paris, for example. But to try to sort of hold together and to appeal simultaneously to such a broad and diverse segment of the electorate is very difficult. Probably, though, he's going to succeed on Sunday in getting enough Mélenchon supporters to vote for him to actually get over the finishing line. The job, indeed, or the big challenge will be to be able to govern France effectively after the parliamentary elections.
What if we have a Marine Le Pen win? Because, you know, we've had surprises before, to think of Brexit or Trump, etc. If she wins, what does that mean for France's economy, for France's voice in the world, within the EU and on the world stage?
This would be a cataclysmic event in French and international politics. Imagine if during the Cold War, for example, France had elected a candidate of the French Communist Party to the presidency. This is what we're talking about if Marine Le Pen were to win on Sunday. She is pledged to take France out of the military command of NATO. She wants to fundamentally renegotiate France's relations with the United States. She wants to downgrade the relationship with Germany, which is at the heart, the core of the European integration project. And she wants to have an alliance with Russia once the Ukraine war is over, to work out with Russia how we should deal with issues such as the war in Syria, what's going on in North Africa, and so on. On top of that, she wants also to assert the primacy of French over European law, which in effect over a certain time would certainly lead to the weakening of the European Union and put France in the EU in the same camp as Poland and especially Hungary. It would be a fundamental shift of orientation in French, European and foreign policy.
It seemed that Marine Le Pen had huge momentum before the first round of the election, and things have changed dramatically between the first and the second round. It looks like the momentum is more with Emmanuel Macron. Has the question of her connections to Russia been particularly important between these two rounds? Or what has changed here, the dynamic?
I think actually there's been a much sharper focus on her foreign policy platform and European policy ideas, which I think in France are actually quite unpopular. On top of that, on the issue of the cost of living, which is the single issue which most preoccupies French voters, as we saw in the debate on Wednesday night, President Macron has been able to sort of effectively counter some of her positions, and has certainly made up some ground on this kind of issue. But the issues of foreign and European policy have been important to the extent that there was virtually no discussion of where Le Pen stands on these issues during the campaign for the first round. In the last 2 weeks, they've been much more the centre of attention, have been at the heart of the attacks that President Macron has launched against her, particularly in the debate on television on Wednesday night.
Douglas Weber.